I've got eyes on the president. He's just across the suspiciously open passage. Suspiciously open passage, huh? Better check for booby traps. Yeah. On it. Smells like lasers. I'm going in. Don't do it, Smith. You've got too much junk in your trunk. Your supple buns will trip the alarm.
I won't let my country down, Mr. Director. That country being America.
Did you know that spelling laser with a Z increases coolness by 37%? Let's shine some in our eyeballs. You'll need microcontroller, photocell, power wires, resistor. Got them all? Good. Phone.
Mirrors.
Cat. Don't have any of those things? Too bad. 3D printer. Fog machine. Fog juice. Shalom. Alright, well now you're ready to set up your laser maze. Oh, hello there. We have a lot of fun here, but safety is the #1 priority here at Noah Smith Electrocutes Himself LLC. This is a comedy channel, so keep in mind that things you see may not be real. Don't drink poison. So, I haven't actually finished the project yet, or started, but I feel like you need all this stuff. Just like most of a pilot's flight path, this should be fairly straightforward. When starting a project, you may be tempted to Google it. Don't. Bing it instead. Actually, before researching about any creative project you're about to do, I'm a firm believer you should use your virgin mind to give it a good think. 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 Stop thinking. Now Google it. Because 90% of what you just thought of, and 90% of your thoughts in general, are dumb. But that remaining 10% are also dumb. In a good way. That little bit of creativity can make your project stand out rather than getting tunnel vision immediately from all the other people on the internet who've done the exact same project. On the electronics side, the concept is fairly simple. This photocell changes resistance based on the amount of light hitting it. Lasers are light. Shine the laser on the photocell and the game's active. Break the beam, you lose. There needs to be a way to alert the user as to how much of a loser they are. We could make a robot that steals your lunch money. But laws. Some sort of audio-visual cue will do. It'd be fun to have a timer to show who of your family is the most flexible. We could make a circuit for some sort of LCD display and speaker, but phones. Screen and audio all in one. Using a phone instead of dedicated hardware also opens up the possibility for feature expandability, such as leaderboards. If you've ever done a home project before, you know you'll make lofty future goals and then never, ever do them. ESP32 is the microcontroller I chose for this project. It has Wi-Fi, so I assume I can interface it with the phone? I have no idea. My thinks have already been thonked, which means time to go surfing the World Wide Web. A shirt change to show that time has passed. Well, I assumed I could interface this with the phone. And you know what they say when you assume. Good job, Noah. Solid critical thinking skills. Code is boring and I need to set up the hardware before finishing it, so here's what I got. The ESP32 on the left is the microcontroller, or the brain of this operation, and it's running all the code. The phone on the right, all it's doing is opening a web browser and reading what's being sent to it by the ESP32. So you see if I hit reset here, the time will start over. And all that's doing right now is counting the number of seconds since boot. So now need to change the code to have some way for the user to reset that time and for it to correlate with the actual breaking of the laser beam. To finish the code, I need a working circuit. The linchpin of any good electronics project is electricity. My experiments to power my Roomba with the power of friendship didn't pan out. This laser diode is pretty much just an LED. This one specifically does have a resistor in line with it, so you're not going to blow it up by putting it directly across 5 volts. Photocells change resistance based on how much light they're given. There's no way to measure resistance per se, but putting a voltage across a changing resistance gives a changing voltage, which is a thing microcontrollers are well equipped to measure. However, unlike with the laser diode, you can't just put 5 volts directly across the photocell and expect results. A constant 5 volts and a changing resistance gives a changing current, not a changing voltage. So we need to add a constant resistor in line with the photocell. Now that 5 volts is still constant, but across the series connection of the two resistances. The voltage across each individual resistance is changing as the photocell changes resistance. With that changing voltage, now the microcontroller will know when the photocell has light shining on it and when it doesn't. Now we have a user interface with the phone and we have the circuit set up, which means we can complete the code. Rather than have a button on the phone to start the timer, we can actually use the laser beam itself as a button. Breaking the beam is the go-to method for stopping the timer. Why not use it to start the timer? But Noah, you say, I don't care. Just show me the final product. Well, I'm glad you asked. To reset the timer, you hold the beam for 5 seconds. This should be long enough to avoid accidentally breaking the beam more than once on your way to see your score. Now, it's a legal requirement that any hobbyist project such as this has at least 7 3D printed parts. This all needs to be held. Now, I'm no Mike Tyson, but I can box. This will have 5 to 6 walls around it in no time. The hard part is mirrors.
Mirrors.
The photocell and laser, much like critically panned episode of Breaking Bad Fly, are in a single location. The laser needs to bounce around the room and then come back to this one location. You know what reflects light? Mirrors. The mirrors need to be held and angled after affixing them to the walls. My original thought for adjusting the mirrors was a ball and socket kind of arm, but you would not be able to adjust it without then adjusting the laser itself to point at the mirror's new location. Unless you're some sort of masochist whose good idea of a Friday night is making every painting in your home askew, a different design would be preferable. What needs to happen is the center of the mirror needs to stay fixed, and the rest of the mirror needs to rotate around it. So what we need is balls! Now, I'm no Mike Tyson, but I can sphere. Let's do some CAD. CAD, of course, stands for Cat-Aided Design. So, you kind of just put that guy in there and it just kind of, well, the mirror kind of fits, almost. No. Okay, guys, don't tell my wife, but my balls don't work good. Ooh, secret level. Okay, new plan, new shirt. Do the thing I did yesterday while holding the mirror, but 3D printed. Look at this smug jerk who thinks he knows what he's doing.
Balls.
Okay, done. You put the mirror in this one. You make sure you get your thumbprint on it to make it laser more powerful. You put the thing in the holes, and then you got that motion, and you put the other thing on the thing, and then just put the thing on the thing, and there you go. You got this rotation, and you got this rotation. Yeah, it's like a little ant's mirror. Oh, my antenna has gotten so long because of this whole quarantine. Now, the one remaining thing I'm worried about is how this 10-cent laser fares. It feels like I'm in 2nd grade math in Miss Lyle's class all over again, except this time I have a slight Polish accent because my biggest fear is diffraction. I worry the beam will spread out over the many yards it has to travel. Fortunately, the mirrors are small, which will kind of correct for that, but it'll still look bad, unlike me. And we're off. The laser goes into mirror guy number 1. Mirror guy number 1 passes to mirror guy number 2. Mirror guy number 2 passes it to mirror guy number 3. Mirror guy number 3 goes to mirror guy number 4, who passes it straight to the photocell. Let's go booby trap a room. this is something I can really see myself doing. Well, much like Vin Diesel visiting the largest city in Japan, this mirror has drifted. The laser used to be there on the mirror, but now the laser is there. So I think the reason for this is just kind of an imprecise mirror. It's got a little jiggle to it. I'm gonna change shirts and 3D print something better. Boom, it's thicker now. The old one, oh, I dropped it. Boom, it's thicker now. Here's the old one. It's thin and wobbly, and the hole that holds it is just crazy thin and imprecise. So you can't make the printer print smaller, so just print the whole thing bigger. And now it's like, here's the hole. It's like looking down an iron sights or laser sight. Yeah, because that would make more sense. I should have wrote this part down. Here the thing goes in the thing, and then it's better. Yeah, new shirt. So here's what the laser pointer looks like going into the very first mirror, and then here's what it looks like going into the second mirror. You see it's kind of splayed a bit, and that's the diffraction I was talking about. And when I said the mirror being small would help out, you can see that a lot of the laser light is going off to the edge, which means only a small part of it is going to actually end up reflected over there. Now, that doesn't help with the diffraction at all, but it does keep the beam at least the size of the mirror-ish, rather than being, baseball-sized by the second mirror. I want to emphasize that I'm not a mechanical engineer, so you should not do anything that I do. I also know nothing about the material property of walls, so maybe don't use sticky tack if you want your walls to have paint on them. Nor am I an artist, so I don't know if this is a fun arrangement of lasers or not. We'll just have to find out. Frankly, I'm just a bad person in general. The only reason I put my name in this YouTube channel is so I could declare myself a corporation and not pay income tax. All right, and it looks like it's lined up and ready to go. Well, there you go. Art thou not impressed? Oh, you must be one of those people that thinks Star Wars lightsabers and Santa Claus are real, which they aren't. Well, if you want Santa Claus to be visible, then we need some fog. The weather forecast says we should get some fog here in a couple weeks, so I'll cut to then. Just kidding, we're an advanced species capable of sentencing our elders to death to maintain 2% annual GDP growth, so you bet you're behind we've harnessed the power of fog. Now, you may be following along at home, in which case, I hope you watched the whole thing and then skipped all the bad parts first, because this has been a disaster. And also that you don't have a fog machine and you just want to use like a can of Febreze or something, but that's a bad idea, and don't. So here's why. Like, you can see it while I'm spraying, but then you stop spraying and it goes away. You need a lingering fog or some like weird Febreze that only stays in one fixed place forever. And this can doesn't do that. All this can does is make the floor wet. A sustained mist, I say. You might be thinking that's what a humidifier is. Well, unless you want to be in a sauna while you're ducking and diving through lasers in your living room in the summer, which it's getting to be, and it's going to be hot, and it just, no. I mean, it's going right now. There's a laser right here. You don't see it yet, so you can imagine that you'd have to have this running for quite a long time. So you'll need your fog machine and your fog juice. Be careful there, Percy. Yeah, so this stuff is toxic. You definitely want to keep it away from small children and pets. Very dangerous if ingested. All right, let's go ahead and turn this on. Oh, whoa, did I grab the... No, I just forgot to plug it in. That was the only problem. All right. Oh. Ooh. Ah. I didn't read any safety tips, so I don't know if this is cool or not. Oh. There's a little bit of laser. Oh, they're starting to show up. It's dark now, so I feel like I have to whisper. I'm not going to whisper. This is some garbage video that no one's going to want to watch because you can't see anything. Well, yeah, I knew this was going to happen, that the video was going to be garbage. But fortunately, this isn't what everyone was waiting to see or anything, so it's fine. That over there is the laser pointer itself. And as you can see, that you can't, but I can see great, is the very first laser beam is super crisp. You can see that straight to the mirror. And then coming off the mirror, it's getting thicker, which is, fine. This is America. We got some thick things here. And then it goes off that mirror, and then it basically becomes invisible. I don't know if that's just fog related, because after it bounces off that mirror, it becomes visible again and then kind of fades off. So here's what it looks like with the lights on. Where it comes out of the laser is actually pretty nice, and bouncing off the first mirror is still pretty nice. And it gets okay after that, but I think there might just be some fog issues which aren't helping. But even with that, I'm not sure if it'll be 100%. If you want a light snack, I would recommend light spaghetti. You also might notice that the laser diode and microcontroller are kind of just sticky tacked to the wall. And I said I was going to make a case for it. And I said something about Mike Tyson or something. So you may say, Noah, what gives? And to that I say, it's pretty big talk coming from someone who doesn't have a laser maze. Also, the phone is kind of just on the ground, and yeah, the lasers do get a bit too diffused. So I think a Rev 2 or Rev 5 at this rate might be necessary. So it's going to change colors. This is it. This is revision 5 of the laser maze. You ready? Are you ready? This is my magnum, my Magna Carta. I keep saying Rev 5. I don't know exactly what Revs 1 through 4 were, but I know during them we learned that the mirror holders actually do work pretty well. We learned that the beam can go from the source of the diode, bounce off one mirror, go to the other wall, and still maintain a fairly decent beam. And most importantly, we learned that I am too white to wear a white shirt on a white wall. To overcome the diffraction we were seeing in Revs 4.2 through 4.8, we now have multiple diodes and multiple photocells. So instead of having one diode go from one wall to the next about 4 or 5 times, we have it going from one wall to the next and coming back, and that's it. So the beam should be much cleaner. At the start of this project, I thought it might come to that, because that's what a lot of commercial versions of laser mazes do. Always assume that people know more than you. Well, now you're probably wondering, what's this mess on the wall? Well, I think it's interpretive art. To me, it looks like my parents yelling at each other, but you can have whatever interpretation you want. So before, there was one diode, and that laser would project from the power source and then come to this wall and bounce off a mirror. The mirror didn't need power, but you know what else? What needs power? Other lasers. So now the lasers are spread out across the wall. There, 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 there. And yeah, so you gotta have power running across that. And all that is between that wire is 3.3 volts going to all of them. And then there's other wires. Those are the receiver wires. So those are just photocells all round in series going from the microcontroller in a loop all the way back to the microcontroller. Now keep in mind, the lasers themselves have no smarts to them, so it's not like one specific transmitter has to sync up with one specific receiver. All it is basically shining a flashlight onto the photocell. Now the photocell itself does have a little bit of smarts to it, but not really. It's kind of just a switch. So they're all wired in series right now, and if any single one of these breaks, then it breaks that circuit. So it'll send a signal to the microcontroller saying, hey, one of the lasers has been broken, and that's enough to trip the game. We needed to design and 3D print holders for both the photocells and the diodes. Now, the diodes are my personal favorite because it's a return of the balls. There's no need to have the same design as the mirror holders because this is what's doing the pointing. There's nothing pointing at it for it to have to remain stationary. Now, the photocell didn't need a container in and of itself, but what this design is good for is it was printed in opaque translucent filament, which means some light can get in, but not all light. So that kind of helps average out the light, I guess, where it's kind of dark right now, but if you have any light anywhere touching that sphere, you'll get an on. I wanted to use this opportunity to add some quality of life features I noticed were missing in the first 4 revisions. The first is I never really added any real cue to the player that they lost the game, other than the timer stopping. I kind of wanted to avoid audio just because I don't want to force any specific sound. I'm imagining a few different use cases for this maze, which would probably warrant various options to the user's audio preference. Do you want music playing? Do you want to scare a small child with a loud buzzer upon their inevitable failure? I think the easiest and best option would just be to turn off the laser when the lasers are broken. And that can be done simply with some logic or a MOSFET. So that's what I did. When you break the beam, the laser turns off. And that's how you know you're a loser. Now that the beam is able to be commanded off, we can't really use it as a button anymore to start and reset the timer. So I went ahead and added a dedicated button. When you want to start the maze, just go ahead and smash the subscribe button. Once the laser's tripped and the timer is stopped, you can go ahead and smash that subscribe button again to reset the time. Since smashing the subscribe button twice actually unsubscribes you, I was forced to add a third functionality to the subscribe button, and that is auto light calibration. So the voltage threshold that the photocell is at actually varies by room because of the ambient light level. So in a bright room such as this, the voltage might be 2 volts, and a pitch black one in the middle of the night might be 1 volt. And we don't know what that is, so it was nice to have a way to calibrate it without actually going back into the code and changing things. So how this is done is when the lasers are on, you can go ahead and hold the subscribe button for 3 seconds, and then the lights will flash. And that will indicate that whatever light level it's at, or what voltage level it's at when the lasers are shining at it, that's baseline. Anything above that means that the laser has been broken. And that brings us to the timestamp you should have switched to 10, 20 minutes ago. I don't know how long this video is. Anyway, let's play with the laser maze. Some mistakes were made. Some cats were scared, but let's move on and do the exact same thing. Want to increase viewership by adding a female part to this video? Also, I turned the spare bedroom into a laser maze. Want to see it?
Do I have a choice?
No. Okay. No, you broke it. Yeah, no, you gotta smash the subscribe button. Smash the subscribe button. No, it says there.
Where?
The physical button that says subscribe.
What button?
It on the case.
Oh!
Now the laser's turn on.
Oh! Should I do it?
Yeah, so you gotta smash the subscribe button again, and then the timer starts. Oh, Percy's gonna help you.
Oh!
Oh, Percy.
What do you do?
Percy tripped it.
Now what do I do?
Get the cat out.
Hi, kitty. Do you want to do it with me? Here we go. Tuck into this one. Oh no.
You lost.
I lose! I didn't see
It might have been Merlin.
Ah!
Merlin. Okay, now hold it until the lasers flash. Okay, now let go. Now hit start by hitting the subscribe button. And now the time is starting. Go.
Ah!
Go. You're already going.
Where am I going to?
Oh, you broke it.
I don't think you can see them that well. Also, it's way too hot in here.
It is very hot in here.
Oh my god. Hi, cat. Why did you turn on the fan?
Because that blows the smoke around.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm too hot to do this. Oh, I'm dying.
Okay, well, that was a lot of work for 5 seconds of fun, so... And Catherine Zeta-Jones-esque heists aren't the only thing you can do in a laser maze. You can also do intense three-dimensional sumo wrestling, where the first person to break the beam loses. And you can do that with your wife, who is definitely still here, just off frame, and didn't leave because she was unimpressed. Haha, haha, haha. You could also play catch between the lines, and whoever breaks the beam on the throw loses, which I'm also going to do with my wife, who is just off camera, who is clearly so impressed by my engineering prowess that she doesn't want to show her face. Throw it back. You could also set up some sort of laser mini golf course where all the lasers are on the floor and you have to get a golf ball between them into some sort of laser hole. I don't have a club or a golf ball, so I'm just gonna use this in my foot. So there you go. I'm gonna give this a coolness in theory factor of 10 and a coolness in actuality factor of still pretty cool, but probably not worth the effort. Now my walls are ruined. This room smells like fog machine, and there's a few weekends gone and a few too many shirts changed. So yeah, I'm gonna go over here and just go ahead and smash that subscribe button a few times. Smash the subscribe. One more thing, I was able to train the cat to finally do the laser maze. Alright, Percy, come on. Oh. I thought he did alright.